So, have you ever fancied being an electric frog that was on a quest to power up the world? If you've somehow just said yes to that question, then I've got the video game for you. Gluf, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, is one of 8 indie games that appear on the second Mega Studios collection cartridge for the Evercade consoles. It's been developed by Retro Souls and had a physical release in 2020 for the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis. The aim of this puzzle game is fairly straightforward. You are Gluf, he's an electric frog, and he wants to power up each level. The only issue is that number 1, you need to keep charging up your electricity, and number 2, every other creature you encounter is out to kill you. The game starts off easy enough. You get to a generator tile to charge up, you can have up to 10 bars of charge at once, and then you hop onto the white coloured tiles to turn them red and give them your charge. Once you're out of juice, you just got to recharge at the generator tiles again, and you can get back out to lighten them up. Once you've charged up each tile, the exit door for the level will appear somewhere, and you've just got to safely navigate your way over to it to complete the level. Simple, right? Well, like any good puzzle game, things escalate in terms of the complexity as you move through the stages. There are different enemies to contend with. At first they just go left to right on a particular platform, then you get ones that move up and down on certain spots, then you get enemies that can move of their own accord through the level, and finally you get enemies that can shoot these little laser beams down on you. By the end, you can have all of these dudes out to get you at the same time, so yeah, things do get more difficult. The puzzle element also comes into play, as some parts of the staging break away, and then you can end up in situations where you can no longer complete the level, as you have to do it in a certain order or in a certain way. So Gluf works in a couple of ways here, as the enemies keep you on your toes and moving about the levels pretty sharply, while the puzzle element keeps you thinking about all your moves and trying to work out if you're taking the right path to complete the stage. I found the difficulty curve spot on as well. It introduces everything at a steady pace through the levels, so you never feel like it spikes up out of nowhere. One of the main critiques I can throw at the game comes from the way that the later levels work. The ladders that you use to go up and down the stages essentially work like a rapid fire escalator. You can't pause on them, you just get shot straight up or straight down. On later levels, there's some where you actually can't see where you're going to end up. You can shoot straight into an enemy and then just lose all your progress. This can get pretty frustrating if you've just spent a couple minutes carefully navigating the correct way around the level. Another thing you'll have to deal with on the final stages is dropping into the pit so that you can get back up to the top of the level. This feels like an odd thing to do, but when you drop off you don't die, you just come back right at the top of the level and land back at the top again. You sometimes can't see what's above you though, so it's a blind leap of faith to potentially end up dropping right on an enemy. When this element of the game was going on, it was the one time I found the game struggling to keep a steady frame rate, as it would jitter a bit when you take the drop. Certain enemies will also use this drop function, so if you're on the top of the level, sometimes an enemy will just drop straight on your head and yep, you're snookered. This can be a bit of a pain to deal with, although I will admit the game may be a little too easy without this. It does still feel a touch unfair though. The graphical style of the game is really nice in my opinion. Everything looks very bright and colourful, it's all very clean, it's well presented. Both Gluf and the enemies are drawn up in a nice style too. They all look pretty cute, even the enemies do, and it's satisfying to see Gluf hopping about the level and get all pleased with himself when he reaches the goal. So yeah, top marks here. The controls are very tight and responsive, and you'll be making some very sudden moves and switches as you nearly get caught out, so it's a good job they respond so well to your direction. The controls are very straightforward, you just use the D-pad to move around and then there's a button to restart the level. You don't have any option but to evade here, there's no taking the enemies on. The restart button can be handy on some of the trickier levels. There are ones where if you make an error in the order of completing the tiles, then that means you can't reach certain ones and you're stuck. And while the button is handy, I did think that on these tougher levels there were usually enough enemies kicking about that you can just sacrifice yourself to them just as quickly anyway. The music in the game is an interesting point of discussion, as I have 2 sides to cover. On the positive side, the music is very well crafted for a game on the Mega Drive. It sounds really nice and then the tunes are pretty catchy. On the negative side, there's only a couple tracks here and they do start to loop after a short amount of time. So essentially the music is good, I just wish there was more of it, whether through longer tracks before they start to loop over, or just more variation in the music that plays during levels. In terms of a story, well, there isn't one. Why is Gluf doing this? Why can he do this? Why do people not want him to charge up these zones? No idea, there's nothing included here. It is a puzzle game though, so I'm not going to dock points for a lack of story. My other main gripe with Gluf is that it's a bit on the short side. There's 30 levels to play through in total, and you can probably get it all done in one sitting if you wanted to. I'd say it'd take a bit over an hour to do that. There is a password system in use in the game, but as ever, if you're playing on the Evercade version, then you can just use save states to your heart's content. It's a shame there's not more levels, as I certainly wanted more by the time I'd finished the game. Picking up Gluf as a physical cartridge for the Mega Drive can set you back about £40 or $50, so I feel for that price, if you were going to go down that route, there really should be more to the game. As I'm playing on the Mega Cat 2 Evercade cartridge, I've got 7 other games included here, and I paid about £15 for it, so I don't feel as hard done by of the amount of levels that are included in the game. To sum up overall, Gluf is a very fun game and one I'd heartily recommend to all players, kids or adult gamers alike can enjoy this one. I'm going to award it an 8 out of 10 score. I may be going a bit high on this one as I was tempted to give it a 7 in line with Roniu and Julie Cat from the same cartridge that I've reviewed recently. However, I feel like I'd definitely come back and replay this game in full in the future, so despite the short length, there is a good element of replay value to Gluf. The positive points were in the actual gameplay and the tight controls, the really nice graphical style, and there's a well managed difficulty curve here. Some issues were present though in terms of the stage layout, the shorter nature of the game, and I'm sort of landed in the middle on the music. It is good, but they needed a few more tracks to stop it getting so repetitive. So there's my thoughts on Gluf and Retro Souls. Have you played this game? And if so, please fire away in the comments below and let me know what you thought of it. Thanks for getting to this point, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, it'd be amazing if you could give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe for some more Evercade reviews to come. So thanks for watching, and take it easy.